record real quick. Ian and Iggy won't be here today.
Oh, okay.
They're not feeling well, so let's see. Hopefully, I just got record going there. Now I don't see it. Okay, yeah, it's working. Um, yeah, he's doing better. He's eating. Um, he's decided he didn't like his regular food anymore. He's just like, I'm done with it. So I had to experiment around to like get him interested in food again. But
Yeah.
I now have a concoction.
Yes.
That I'm like food processing things and
Oh, wow.
even Mariah.
I've been through that.
I know that's what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just was like, I'm done with that. So, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, we just went through the same thing too. We just switched to this one.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I love Honest Kitchen. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's good stuff. Oh yeah, those clusters. I heard about those.
Yeah, it's a lot like kibble. It's really
Yeah, it's much fresher, more nutrients in there. How's it going, Stephen, Mariah, and Hagrid? Good to see ya. Okay,
I'm great, thank you. How are you? How's
I'm
your
doing
puppy?
good. I'm doing good. Let's see, Harmony, are you coming in on the second?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let you get settled in, and then we still got let's see. Let's see, Ludo. We've got Jeter, Melissa, waiting for them, and June and Takako. So we'll give a couple more minutes. Get them in here. But yeah, it's been quite a roller coaster with this little dog. But just glad we're not at the end yet. He's still got some life in him. So I'm gonna ride that way.
I might have accidentally hit record and I didn't mean to.
Okay.
But anyways, I don't know what's going on here.
Well, I don't think that'll. Let's see.
If you see that, you can cancel me.
Oh, here comes Takako.
Because I didn't mean to.
I don't think I'll see it on your end. It'll just be on your end.
Oh,
It'll probably record it to your computer. Hi, Takako. How's it going?
Hi.
Hi. How's little June?
She is.
There she is, getting bigger and bigger.
Kissing
Wonderful.
Me.
Wonderful.
How's your dog?
Better. Yes. I thought maybe we were coming to the end of the road, but he's showing really good signs of he's eating again and holding down food. So I'm very, very happy. So I mean, it could happen again, but one day at a time with this kind of stuff. So Harmony concurs. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. He's quite the little roller coaster for sure. But just seeing
how many
him,
do you have?
Huh?
How many do you have?
I have 3. I had 5, and then one passed away about 4 years ago, and then one pretty recently. So I had just gone through a whole end of life roller coaster with my Chloe, and I'm like, I'm not ready to get back up on that again.
Right.
Soon. That was only about 4 months ago. So yeah. So he's high maintenance, but I'm keeping him afloat, and I'm just so happy to see him smiling again.
That's good.
Yeah, thank you for asking, you guys. So I think we got a lot to cover today. So Melissa and Jeter come in a little late. We'll just hopefully we can get them. Hey, I'm getting a text. Let me just see if it's her having some issues getting in. No. Okay. So wanted to start out today talking a little bit about, let me go to full screen here. 1 second. There we go. Talking a little bit about other ways that we can reward our puppies other than always using treats. Takako, and is that Luke? Did I get that right? Or
Mike.
Mike, so sorry. You guys are sideways. Is there a way to orient that? There we go. Perfect. Might make us a little dizzy, all of us. Perfect. That looks great. Anyway, ways to reward our puppies other than always using treats. When treats are great, but there's something called a pre-MAC principle. And what that means is what you take a behavior that is highly likely to occur and use that as a reward for a behavior that is less likely to occur. It's the grandma rule, basically. If you eat your veggies, you'll get your dessert. And a perfect example of that are the elements of fetch. If you think about it, what are the elements of fetch? We have chase and chase the ball, and we have drop the ball. And the reward, sorry, I'm having a little trouble concentrating. My chihuahua, I thought I had her all settled in. I'm going to try letting her out and see if she can settle. Hold on one sec.
Talking about reward without
Well, it
treat.
worked once. Let's see if I can. She's pretty wound up. Come on.
Like fetch the ball. Done running. Done running.
You guys aren't muted, by the way.
You could.
Just letting you know.
Us?
Yeah.
What's up?
You heard everything we just said.
I'm just letting you know we can hear you.
Try to be quiet. Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. So anyway, the elements of fetch. Chasing the ball, behavior that's highly likely to occur, and dropping the ball, behavior that is very much less likely to occur, at least in the beginning. And so we basically use the behavior of chasing the ball as a reward for dropping the ball. So the idea is to start thinking about the things that you'd like your dog to do and thinking about the things that your dog would like to do and sort of combining those. Maybe asking for a sit before you release your dog into the backyard to play, asking for a down, and then having a tug ready as the reward. So just incorporating what we call life rewards in, as opposed to always having to use treats. It just makes life more interesting and gets them thinking a little more. Just altogether a way to mix it up, and again, not always resorting to treats. Treats are great, and they're very convenient. So and I actually recommend, for the most part, some people don't agree, but I think we should be rewarding our dogs forever, either by a life reward or a treat, because relationships basically are a history of positive reinforcement. That's really what they are, the good ones anyway. So, and that's what we want, is a relationship with our dogs. So there's really no reason to ever stop treating them. You can certainly start thinning out the rewards, and like I said, incorporating life rewards in there. But personally, I want my dog to always be happy. So I like to just make it so. Okay, so onward and upward. So we're going to work a little bit on our sits and downs, and then I'm going to introduce a stand today. It's great to have a third position because our dogs learn patterns really quickly. And if you're just doing sits and downs, they can start picking up on that pattern, and it makes it less likely for them to actually discriminate what you're asking for. And they might just start defaulting and throwing out and guessing. And they might not actually be honing in on solidifying that cue. So having a third position to mix it in keeps them on their toes. It makes them really have to pay attention to the cue. And down is also just a nice one to have for various things. At the vet, sometimes your dog doesn't want to stand up for when the vet has to do things, or I mean, it could be anything, you know, you might want your dog to do a stand for. So I was going to do a quick little review of sit and down, and then I'm going to do a stand with Lolly. You guys are doing really well on your sits and downs. just want to remind you that as you're, if you're getting a reliable sitter down with the treat in your hand, I think most of you are already there to take the treat out and still do the same gesture, but reward from the other hand. And then eventually your luring motion that looks like that is going to start morphing into eventually you'll be able to stand up and not have to be leaned over, and you can just sort of go like this for your sit and just like this for your down. So we slowly want to start morphing those hand signals into something a lot more subtle. Right now, I'm sure with the downs, I don't know, I have to watch, but we get a tendency when we're doing the down, we're going to like go down with the dog and, you know, kind of make this dramatic gestures. And the dog, your puppy is actually incorporating that into the cue. So if you suddenly stand up straight and just go like that, they're going to be like, that's not a down to me. So we have to incrementally work towards being able to just give that subtle cue. So I'll just do a quick sit down and stand with Lolly. And I'm going to try to do it without any treat in my hand. But again, if you try to do the hand signal and you're not getting what you want, you're not getting the behavior, then if you have to put the treat back in your hand, then please feel free to do that. Every environment is going to be different, and in every situation with different distractions, your dog might have to go back to the remedial point of having a treat in their hand as you're solidifying these behaviors. So just kind of be aware if you're already at the verbal, if you say a verbal and they're not doing the behavior because of whatever, then go ahead and give them the hand signal. And if you're still not getting the behavior, then you put your treat in your hand. So I just want to make sure you guys understand sort of the tier of helping them to get what you want them to do. So I'll just gonna do some sit. I'm gonna do a sit down and then a stand, and I'm gonna try to do it without any food in my signal hand. Okay. I'm going to toss a treat to get her up so I can get a sit. Lolly. Yes. Forgot my clicker. Girl, nicely done. Okay, okay. Toss some treats. And for a stand, I usually get them into a sit first. It's easier to do the stand. Good girl. So for you guys, I'd like you to put a treat in your hand for the stand because it's the beginning of teaching the behavior. So I'm going to put a treat in my hand, pull straight out, and mark it as she's moving. One more time with the stand. Good girl, yay, yay, yay. Go get it. So I'm going to have you guys do some sits, downs, and stands. And for each of those, for the stand, you're going to have food in your hand because you're just starting out that behavior. And for the sits and the downs, I'd like you to do wherever you think you're at. If that's with a lure, then go ahead and use the lure. If it's with just the hand signal, go ahead and just use the hand signal. I haven't officially added the verbal yet. We were going to do that next week, but if you feel you're ready for that, go ahead. I do like to teach adding the verbal in a particular way. So if you don't feel very confident in that right now, I would ask you to wait until next week, and then we'll go ahead and officially add that verbal in. There's a process that we usually add the verbal in. It just helps the dog learn it better. So if you guys want to just work on some sits and downs and some stands, And again, with the stand, you'll put the treat in front of their nose and pull it directly out parallel to the floor and mark and reward as they're moving towards your hand. And then deliver the treat after you've marked it. Release the treat. That looked great, Harmony. Excellent. Very nice with little Ludo.
I know, he just goes right into the down is the thing.
Oh, did you not signal it? I just looked up and he goes into, did you signal a sit and then he went to the down? Okay. Then what I would do if you signaled a sit and he did a down, then don't reward that. Just kind of step away from it, kind of, you know, give a little space, a little time, and then come back, ask for the sit again, and just reward him when he actually does the sit, if you're working on the sit.
Okay.
If you don't care, if you just want to have one signal for a sit or down, which is fine too, depends on how you want to do it. But if you really would like for him to discriminate, just be careful not to reward him when he does go into the, and if he does that, I go ahead and reward him because he held short of going all the way into the down. Yeah. So then you can incrementally work up to him not going into the completely into the down.
He struggles with a stand as well. See? There we go.
Oh, very nice. Excellent. How's it going with Hagrid? Lost Hagrid.
We're here. Let's see if he'll do it.
There he is. Get it right on his nose, right up there. Are those pretty smelly?
Yes, these are his favorite. He's not food driven at all.
I think you mentioned that. I would go ahead and mark and reward that.
Hard.
What I'm seeing, the screen froze a little bit. It looked like he actually at least lifted his bottom up a little bit. And if that's all you're getting, at least you're moving towards the idea of him going into a stand.
Okay.
But if there it is. Bravo. Excellent. That was great. He just, I don't know if you guys were, it looked like you were signaling a stand there. So that looked great.
Do the pull out like that?
You did, as far as I could tell, you did it perfectly. You put it right in front and did it parallel to the floor and just pulled it outwards.
Try it again here.
Okay, I'm watching. So pull it forwards and go a little slower, Steve. Just a little slower. Okay. Sometimes slower is a little more, even slower than that. Oh, perfect. That looks great. Excellent. Let's see how it's going with little Josie. She's pretty worked up right now. I lost her. Hi, there she is. That looks great, Harmony. Takako, I lost you guys. You working on grabbing her?
Question on this.
Yes.
So there's no release word at any time. It's just sit and then stand.
I actually do a release for sits, down, stays, for everything. So if I get them in a sit and then I say the release, I get them in a sit, I mark and reward it, and then I like to give them a release and then toss a treat so that you can let them know that they don't have to sit anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's what I like to do. It's especially important on the stay, not as important on the sit or down, but if you want to start building duration with your sits and your downs,
yeah,
then I would definitely recommend, just as on the stay, that you go ahead and start building in a release cue. Yeah. So, okay. Mike, I'd get that treat right in front of little Josie's nose. Get it right in there. So you want to get that treat like right in there on her nose. Okay, like, and go actually down on her level. You want, yeah, you want to pull that treat parallel to the floor. Do you see what I mean? Like parallel to the floor. There it is. So yeah, you're pulling it out so that she comes up into a stand, and that's when you would mark and reward. So she did it. So you'll mark and reward when she actually goes into the stand. Does that make sense? Yeah. There it is, mark and reward it. Perfect, looking good. All right, guys, we got a lot to cover, so we're gonna move on. Just a real quick note, just a reminder to that we give the reward after they do the behavior so that it's not a bribe. So if they can see the treat, except when we're using the lure, at the very beginning when we're using the lure, it is sort of a bribe. That's why we like to quickly get the food out of our hand and start marking rewarding after the behavior. We don't want to bribe them. We want them to actually be working for the treat as if it was a paycheck. So just be aware of your hands. Be aware if your hands are dangling down with the treats in it. Be aware if your hands are, sticking out in front of the dogs where they're seeing the treat. Another reason for trying to watch for that is that the dogs will start focusing on the treat and they get tunnel vision and learning. It's hard for learning to occur. And also a reminder that down is a very vulnerable position. And if they're not wanting to offer that in any situation, don't just let it go. They can get a little uncomfortable with offering that when they are uncomfortable. Okay, next up, we're going to work on some stays again. Today, we're going to do some stays where we're turning our back. When we break eye contact with our dogs, it makes it difficult for them to hold the stay. So we have to go very slowly when we start to turn our heads away from them. And sometimes in the beginning, all that might mean is you're standing in front of your dog and you just like turn just a very slight amount with your shoulder. And we have to build slowly to be able to turn our backs to them. So again, with the stays, we have to go super slow and make it as easy as we need to make it so that they will be successful. If we make it too hard and they keep breaking their stay, you are not going to get anywhere. You're just spinning your wheels and you're making yourself and your puppy frustrated. So I'm going to demonstrate a little turn for my dog. And another thing that we like to work on is doing circle the clock around our dogs. And that takes a lot of practice. But the beginnings of that is just getting them comfortable with breaking eye contact. Oh, here's Stephen. Right. Oh, there you are. Hey. So I'm going to do a little demo with Lolly, and I'm going to try to turn my back on her, but I'm not going to try too hard because I don't work on this too much with her. So she's probably going to break her stay if I tried to turn. If I broke eye contact with her, I'm almost guaranteed that she's going to break it. She's a good example of how I'm going to have to just barely turn from her and a way to build on that. Stay. Good girl. Actually, I got further than I thought I would. Okay. Let's try that again. Stay. Good job. You surprised me. Wow, I didn't think she could do that. So, see you later, Craig.
Bye.
So again, let's try to go very slowly. If you turn and break contact with their eye contact, break eye contact with them, then you know that you can't go all the way. I got a question here. Hold on 1 minute, Harmony. I got somebody in the chat. That's funny. Yeah, it's funny when I meet the dogs, it's like, that's so cute. So I have actually officially, just to say, officially met little Josie and little Ludo. And I actually met June in the park in Laurelhurst Park. That's actually why they're here with us today is little June was in the park. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love little pugs. Um, I haven't met Hagrid, unfortunately, yet. So maybe I will before this is all said and done. The way with COVID's going, though, I kind of doubt it, unfortunately. So anyway, oh, look at Josie. I'm impressed with that chill. Excellent. So let's do a little, I'm just going to be watching. Let's try to do some stays. And I would like you guys to just turn away from them as much as you feel you can and be successful. And if that means maybe just a little shoulder turn, a little head turn, and maybe you can actually turn your back on them. Lolly shocked me today. So go ahead and do some practice here and I'll just be watching. Harmony. Oh yeah, go for it.
My first question is actually Josie's like, she can barely keep her eyes open. They're like rolling back in her head.
Oh.
So should I just let her sleep? I ran her in a field and she's like exhausted.
That's up to you. If you want to
Okay.
try and see if she'll engage, but if you feel like that she's opting out, I definitely recommend you just let her do what she wants to do. And then you just pay attention and just make sure that you're getting what you need out of the class.
Okay. And then my
other
question is, do we return to them before we so on the stay, do you release them once you've returned to them? And is that like an all the time thing, or is that just early on that you return to them?
Okay. I recommend when we're teaching stay at this point until they have a rock solid stay. I recommend it, and most of the people I work with at Plucky Puppy do, is that you actually return to your dog before you mark and reward. And the reason for that is a couple of things. One is when you try to call your dog out of a stay to end the stay, it tends to create a more high arousal state for the dog because they're waiting to be called out of the stay, and they're going to be more likely to break their stay. Temporarily forgotten what the second thing was, but and also if they break their stay, they're going to be more likely to stay in that little area than running to you. And that can be dangerous. If you asked for a stay and you stepped outside, though you need to be really careful at this point doing anything that could, put your dog in a dangerous situation. But that being said, if they break their stay and run to you, that could put them in danger. So I recommend that until you have a rock solid stay, that you don't call your dog out of the stay to end the stay. I recommend that you return to your dog and mark and reward, and then release them from the stay. And again, just to remind you guys, I always like for you to give them a beginning and end to the stay by releasing them out of the stay after you feel that they've held it long enough for you. So Deb, that Ludo just gave you some information. Ludo said, no, Deb, that's too much. So that just tells you that you just need to make it easier for Ludo the next time. So.
Yeah. Stay. Yes, puppy.
Very good. And then I go ahead and release Ludo. That looked fantastic, Deb. It's a good time to do some stays with little Josie when she's so chill like that. Yeah, that's funny. How's it going with Hagrid? Usually the bigger dogs are more chill, so tends to be an easier behavior to teach them. Is that the case with Hagrid? Okay.
Yeah, he does stay really well.
Excellent. Have you tried turning? No, he's doing it now. Perfect.
And then I go back to him.
Yep, perfect. Go back to him, mark it, reward it,
Good.
and then end the stay by saying okay or free or whatever, and then tossing a treat.
Okay.
And if he doesn't want to get up for the treat, there he goes. Perfect. So again, we want our dogs to have a beginning and an end to the stay, because if you don't end the stay, I can guarantee you they will. And if they end the stay, then it sort of defeats the purpose of the stay, and you'll not be able to build duration if that's the case. How's it going, little June?
Doing better than I anticipated.
Okay, do it.
So let's and make sure we don't ask for too much from her. We want to make the stay short so that she doesn't release herself from them, because she's a pretty high energy dog. So she's gonna she'll release it if you don't.
Stay.
Come back. Come
Perfect. That was excellent. Short and sweet. I love it.
Okay.
And then go ahead and toss a treat and just say free or okay, and let her know that she doesn't have to stay anymore. Her duty is done. She can kind of toss it off to the side. Tossing off a treat is a really good way to end the stay. But if you pair that with a release word, if you say the release word and then toss it, eventually you'll just be able to say the release word and they will know they are done. They are free to go about their business and be a dog and not be doing these stupid human tricks. Another thing you can do to get your dog up out of a stay is just pat your legs and be really exciting. And usually they'll pop up from it. So it's looking really good. The only thing, Steve, that I would critique on yours is just one tiny thing, because it's looking really good, is when you give the hand signal for stay,
Yep.
give it once and then retract your hand. And the reason for that is if you give the hand signal for stay and then you continue to hold your hand out there, they will become dependent on that. And when you start turning away from them, I highly doubt you're going to want to like walk away like that. And especially as you start to build distance. So we're just trying to get rid of this crutch that they'll hold on to, because eventually that crutch won't be there anymore. So just try to give it and then pull it back and proceed with it. So, but otherwise it's looking really good with all of you guys. And Josie, that was an excellent stay, and you look how long it's lasting. Bravo. Okay, you guys, just a quick little reminder. How do we know when to make it harder? And this goes for any behavior. The rule of 5. Is kind of a nice little way to remember this is, I don't think I've mentioned this before, is push, drop, stick. Push, drop, stick. 5 out of 5 repetitions, push it. Push to make it harder. 3 or 4 out of 5 repetitions, holding out 5 fingers, 4. Stick. 1 or 2 out of 5, drop. So push, drop, stick, or push, stick, drop is actually probably a little more accurate, but has more of a ring to it, push, drop, stick. So, and also if you increase the distance, the 3 Ds, distance, duration, distraction. If you increase one of those, don't increase any of the others. That will be too hard. Okay, looking good. Just be sure and release your dog from the stay before they release themselves, because that's what makes it a stay. Okay, now we're going to move on to leave it. The next step in leave it, we right now we're at food in our open palm, and we're making it as easy as we need to make them succeed. And as we're lowering our hand to the floor, and today we're actually going to be on the floor, not us, but our hand, with the food in our palm, and we're lowering it all the way to the floor. When the food is on the floor, it becomes the dogs. They live on the floor. We're still giving ourselves a little handicap, because we're still leaving the food in our palm as we lower it to the floor. So it's not quite the leap to leave it with the food directly on the floor. So I want you guys to always warm up do a little closed hand, do a little open hand. Remember, with the closed hand, we reward from the disengagement. With the open hand, we reward for the lack of engagement at all. And then when we're lowering it to the floor, same thing. We don't want them to go for it at all. If you find with your open palm, your dog is going for it, that means you need to resort back to the closed fist. They're not ready for it yet. So I'm going to warm little Lolly up, and I'm going to start with the closed hand, graduate to the open palm, and then I'm going to try lowering it to the floor. Actually, for this, I'm going to get my little Chihuahua because he's a little better at this than she is. So hang on one second. Come on, Lolly. So here's the little guy, feeling a little better. Let's see if he can do a little performing today. My little Joe Buck, he's wearing his little leader hosen outfit. Because he pees everywhere, don't you now? Okay, so let's see what we got. You gonna do some good for me today? Okay. Can you guys see he's pretty tiny? Let me get, I think I'll angle it down a little more to get a little more Joe Buck in there. Oops. Didn't work. Okay. So lower value treat in my palm, in my closed fist. Leave it. Beautiful. Open palm. Leave it. Whoops. Leave it. Now he's a little out of practice. I'm going to go back to the closed fist. Leave it. Leave it. Whoops. Leave it. Okay. Leave it. I'm going to get my other Chihuahua. He's off his game. Come on. Good try, my friend. Good try. I'll be right back. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Okay, I'm moving down to the floor. Leave it. Girl. Leave it. Excellent. Thank you. Good job. Okay. Okay, let's see what you guys got. So we'll just let you start with wherever you're at. If you need to do the, just go ahead and give a quick warm up with your closed hand.
Leave it. Oh. Leave it.
I think that I lost Ludo there for a minute, but it seemed like things went really well with that. I couldn't see him. Yeah, like he went for it a little bit. So maybe try moving your hand back off the floor and a little further out.
Okay, we'll try.
And if that's not successful, then go ahead and go back to
Oh, I keep clicking it wrong. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, don't be sorry. You're doing great.
Okay, puppy.
So I go ahead and warm Ludo up with some more closed hands, just to get him sort of warmed up and kind of in the game. Because I think he's going to be able to do the open palm. I just think he just try like 3 with the closed fist, back in the closed fist, and sort of get him going. Yeah, he needs a little more. I'd warm him up with, put that closed fist right up to his mouth, to his nose. Okay, that looked good. So let's try the open palm now, a little bit further away, like you were doing.
Okay. Ludo, leave it.
Oh, he almost had it. Well, you know what you're doing there, so I'll leave you to it. I would say if you do 2 or 3 with the open palm and he's going for it, even though I have a feeling that he's graduated past that probably at other times.
Yeah,
But
he's a little bit like not focused right now.
That's what I've exactly. So, but what we have to do is take that in consideration when we're training, because every time we take the time to train, we don't know what state our dog's going to be in, so we have to adjust our criteria. So for Ludo right now, I would just stick with your closed palm.
Okay.
And that way he's practicing success, so that when you go and then you're working on again and he's a different frame of mind, he will have gotten successes and moved towards a more solid foundation. So that's just something to always keep in mind. Adjust your criteria for train the dog in front of you, the dog that's in front of you at this moment in time, not the dog that was yesterday when we were training and it could do this, but the dog that's now in front of you and is having troubles and might need to make it a little easier. So let's take a look at Hagrid. That's a nice little slide into a down there. I love it.
Yeah.
I love that.
I do have a question for you. He
Sure.
notices the treat in the other hand to give it to him, and he just pays attention to that hand.
Then we need to, okay, that's a good question.
I've been switching
Mariah.
hands.
So what you need to do is take that other hand and put it behind your back and make it so that he cannot see the treat, the treat hand.
Yeah, I was doing that, and then I would switch hands to the lesser treat in one hand and switch. And he just, as soon as I give him the treat, then he anticipates it coming from that hand. And then I'll switch to the other hand, and then he gets the idea very quickly.
I think I'm a little confused. So so right now I'm thinking that you need to go back to the closed hand, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's still engaging with your hand. So right now, and yeah, perfect. And when that disengagement happened, you were right there with that. That looked great.
So after I do that, then he watches this hand that the treat came from, because I'll do this again and he'll watch the other hand. And so I was switching, putting the low value treat in the hand he watches and then the high value treat in the other hand. But then he gets the idea and switches also. So he's watching the high value treat hand that's hidden behind my back, if that makes sense.
Okay, so he's watching the high value treat. When you present your hand right now, just work on that closed hand and present it to his face. And then maybe I'm still a little confused. I think I know what you're saying. What I think is he just needs a lot more work with the closed hand, because at this point he's really still engaging a lot with your hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead and present the low value treat. That was perfect. He disengaged, and now I bring around the reward. And then say leave it again.
Leave it.
There it was. I think if you're just very careful about making sure that your other hand is nowhere to be seen, and just keep working really hard on that closed hand. I mean, honestly, in this Zoom environment, it's hard for me because to really get a handle. I think I understand what you're saying, but I think if you just are super careful about him ever seeing that treat hand, and when you present the treat to him, make sure you get it right up on him. I don't think he's going to run around behind you and try to get into the.
No, he just knows that the high value treat is in my hand behind my back.
And so he's holding, if he is not engaging with your closed hand because he thinks the high value treat is back there.
Yeah.
But he's still sitting there, right?
Yeah.
Still sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
But is he engaging at all with your low value treat? It looked like he was.
Yeah, he will, but then he looks back to where my hand is
That's
behind.
okay. Go ahead and mark and reward that. I don't care why he stops engaging. It doesn't matter why he stops engaging. It may a little in this case, but we're going to sort of proceed anyway, that when he disengages, then I want him to get a treat. Another idea, though this might muddy the waters, is to have Mariah at the helm, and when he disengages from your low value treat, have Mariah step in and offer him the high value treat. Just fun to try, maybe to keep him off his dot a little. So he's not always sure where that treat's going to come from. And sometimes when you throw him off and make it a little more unpredictable, it can help you. Okay, I'm going to check in with Takako real quick, and then we're going to move on because we still have a lot to cover. How's it going over there?
Good. Okay, sit. Yeah, sit. Sit. Sit.
And I wouldn't worry about a sit for the leave it. It doesn't really matter what position they're in when we do the leave it, because that's really the focus.
Leave it. Good.
Oh, beautiful. Bravo.
Yeah.
So after a few successes, I'd say 5, the roll of 5. With that, Takako, I go ahead and start lowering your hand to the floor.
Okay.
It looks like she might be getting about ready for that.
Good job.
Bravo. You're on the right track there. That looks fantastic. So go ahead and put your hand on the floor. I'd go ahead and lower that treat hand all over. Fantastic, Takako.
Can we set it right in front of them?
If you think they'll leave it.
If
she's leaving it, it can be as close as you want.
Leave it. Good job, Junie.
Impressive. Impressive. But I go ahead and fantastic. I was going to say, go ahead and pick it up. Don't give it. She succeeded, so don't test her anymore. It's exactly what you did. After she leaves it, we can definitely start building duration. But at the point you're at right now, I think that looks fantastic. Now go ahead and pick it up. Oh, that's great. I'm loving that. Good job, you guys. Well, we're going to move on. Just a reminder, don't leave it out in the real world right now. Only use it in training because we don't want to poison the queue by saying leave it. And then if they don't leave it, then we've got a lack of success, and we don't want to practice that. We want to practice success. But all of you guys, it's looking really good. Just be sure and warm them up. Warm them up with the closed hand. Say leave it, pause. If you're starting to get, after you say leave it, if you're starting to get a look from them, reward that. And then from that point forward, start waiting for that look. Because ultimately, that's the goal. When we're in the world and they see that we're, that tempting thing on the sidewalk that could be dangerous or not, something you just disgusting, you don't want them to have. When you say leave it, the idea is for them to turn and look at you because they're expecting something special from you. So if you start getting that while you're working on this, mark and reward that, and then hold out for that look, because ultimately that's where we're going. Okay, I'm gonna move on to recall. Let's see what time it is here. We got 10 more minutes, doing well. We're gonna move on to recall. Right now, your puppies are a lot more interested in you. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna put Abigail away. I'll be right back. Actually, no, I'm not, because I'm gonna use her for this demo. So right now, your dogs are a lot more interested in, or very interested in you as a puppy. That's going to start changing as adolescence comes on. Hormones kick in. The environment is going to become a lot more interesting to them. And you're going to start losing some of that wonderful attention that they're giving you now. So right now is the time we want to work super hard on recall and getting your dog's attention. So I've been having you guys play the name game where you say their name, wait for them to orient, and then mark and reward that. And today we're going to take it a step further. We're going to make it a little more, not a little more, we're going to make it look more like a formal recall. So I'd like for you to wait till they're a little distracted, say their name. When they orient towards you, then I want you to deliver the recall cue. And hopefully you guys already have decided on one. You know, it's as simple as come. That's what I use. Pick out your recall cue. So when they orient towards you, deliver the recall cue, and then move backwards and mark. And actually, you don't have to move backwards. Skip that. As they start to come towards you, hopefully, mark and reward as they're them as they're moving towards you and reward them when they get there. Another thing I'd like for you to do is as they're moving towards you and they arrive, I would like for you to reach out and touch their collar or their harness as you deliver the treat. And the reason for that is, have you ever seen the dog that is recalled and they come in and they do the flyby? They go vroom, vroom, and they're still like 5 feet away. And it's like, I recalled, but it's kind of useless. It's not useless. They still came. But if you need to start working on them coming all the way in. And the way you can do that is by reaching out and grabbing their collar and delivering the treat, grabbing their harness and delivering treat. Another reason for this is grabbing a dog by the collar or the harness can be a stimulus for discomfort. And it actually is grabbing a dog by their collar can be a bite stimulus. And I'm not saying your dogs will bite you, but we want to guard against that. We want to make them very comfortable with their collar or their harness being grabbed. And so a great way to work on that is just sort of incorporate it into the recall. So it's kind of twofold to get your dog coming all the way in, and it also works on comfort level of being grabbed. So what this will look like is you will call your dog. When they turn towards you, you will say come or whatever your recall cue is. As they start to move towards you, mark it. We are marking them disengaging from the environment. If you don't mark them till they get to you, no big deal. It's just kind of nice to actually mark them as they leave the environment that they were interested in, because that's what we're rewarding. That's part of what we're rewarding. And as they come into you, reach out, grab their collar, deliver the treat. Let's see. Do not, if you call their name and they don't orient towards you, don't deliver the recall cue. Wait and try again. Give them a few seconds, a minute or two. Try again. Say it again. If they orient towards you, then I want you to deliver the recall cue. I don't want you to deliver the recall cue unless you see them orienting towards you. I'm going to have you practice this for a bit if any of your dogs are up for it. Everybody's being so chill. That's fantastic. This is actually one of it's like it cuts both ways. The lovely part of the Zoom format is the dogs are always more chill, generally. Little June is pretty excited. That's a lovely part, but the other part that is sometimes not as good is the dogs can get so chill that they don't even really want to participate anymore. But we'll just like let them do what they need to do because, again, this is the environment for you guys to learn. Let me put my little. Okay. So call your dog. If they're not going to stop paying attention to you, then toss a treat out to get them unfocused. Perfect, Deb. Now say Ludo and then.
Touch. Yes.
Oh, nice. You've incorporated touch in there. That's fantastic. We're not going to work on touch, but Deb, maybe on the last class, Deb is incorporating something called hand targeting, which is another way to get your dog to come in closer. I actually will try to teach that just cursory on the very last class.
Tammy, we're trying to save the come command for like very rare occasions, so that's why I'm using touch instead.
Okay, yeah, yes, as a reserving it for very special occasions. Fantastic. So I will have so I toss a treat away from you, Harmony, to get her to look, just to get her focus off of you, and then see if you can get her to come. And another thing is just be very exciting. We are competing. We need to throw a party. We need to be a circus in order to get our dogs to come, because we're competing with a very exciting environment. Has Hagrid checked out for the day? Okay. So yeah, just so you guys know, and I'm gonna, in just a second, I'm gonna talk about the rules of recall, and it will be in your homework as well. I think Josie has definitely decided she's done, so that's perfectly fine. And Ludo's gonna entertain with the bed a little bit, but so I'm gonna quickly go over the 5 rules of recall. So again, just call your, say your dog's name when they orient towards you, then deliver the recall cue. Okay, the 5 rules of recall. I'm gonna turn this up just a little bit. Number 1, never call your puppy for something that they don't like. For example, don't call your puppy and then put them in the bathtub. Don't call your puppy out of play. We'll reserve that for PhD level recall. When you've really got a solid recall, then you can use that to call your dog out of play or to come to you at the dog park. Right now, we don't want to call them over and punish them. And if you call them for something they don't like, call them away to something they don't like or away from something that they liked, you're punishing them. And behaviors that are punished go down in frequency. Behaviors that are rewarded go up in frequency. So we want to make sure that we never call our puppies for something bad. Number 2, never call your puppy unless you are reasonably sure they will come. I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but it's extremely important because we want to practice success. If you call your puppy when they've got their nose buried in a bush, most likely they're not going to come to you, and you're going to poison the recall cue. They're going to tune it out. So when we're working on recall, we want to look for opportunities to call our dogs when we think they're going to come to us. Number 3, if you screw up number 2, go and retrieve your puppy. Save the recall. Number 4, never repeat the cue, and never repeat their name as well. If you keep repeating the cue, again, like I said, you're going to poison it. They're going to just put it in the category with the rest of human blabber that is not relevant. And your recall cue will just go down the tubes. So, and number 5, when they come, the highest value treat that you have available to you they should be getting that at that time. So those 5 rules, they're super simple, but if you follow them, you will get a very solid recall. I also recommend a long line. You can get them off Amazon. You can get them many different places. I recommend a cotton one. A friend of mine got cut extremely badly by a nylon one that wrapped around her leg, a serious, serious wound. When the dog was pretty excited and was pulling. So cotton webbing, long line. And then you can take your dog to a park and they can, you can do some long recalls when you feel that you're ready for that. But build up to that with short successful recalls. So again, don't call, when you call their name, wait for that orientation, because when you see that they turn towards you, then you know you can be reasonably sure that they are going to come to you at that point. We're pretty much out of time, but I just wanted to, we're not going to work on mat work today, but I am just going to just quickly talk about adding duration. So as you're getting your puppy on successfully going to the mat on a regular basis, we want to start building some duration with that. So when they go to their mat, I want you to deliver rapid fire treats to the mat. And then I want you to start slowing the treats down. And a slower delivery so that they have to wait a little longer each time between the delivery of the treats. But don't do that until you feel like you're getting a little duration. So start out by rapid fire delivery, giving the release cue, releasing them before they release themselves. And then as you go forward, start slowing down the delivery of the treat. If any of you guys are having trouble getting your puppy going to the mat at all, which I don't know if any of you are, but we'll work on this again next week. You can try tossing a treat onto the mat. And when your dog goes to get the treat off the mat, then go to the mat and deliver multiple treats to the mat. And then do that, tossing the treat a few times. And then I'd like you to throw a fake treat to the mat. And when your dog goes to get that treat and starts heading towards the mat, I want you to go to the mat and do some rapid fire treating to the mat. Now, this is only if your dog is not already going to the mat on their own, making decision to go to the mat. So you guys know where you're at with that. So I'll leave you to that. Everything we talked about today is in the homework along. I'm pretty sure the rules are in there. I know they're in there. I'm almost positive they're in there for this week. So keep on working. You guys are doing some good work. I appreciate it. All right, take care of you guys.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
Are we going to reschedule? Is there one more that we're going to do?
Oh, and yeah, when you got your Zoom invite, it looked a little weird because of the one that I canceled. And that just was because in the beginning I'd done 6 occurrences. And so it skipped. So that means that it just looks like we only have one more, but I'll be doing a separate one-off Zoom invite for that last class. So we have 2 more classes. So we still got some time. All right, you guys, take care. It's good to see you. Have a good week.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.